I felt the barrel of the gun press against the back of my neck. Cold, metallic, final. My breath caught in my throat, sweat dripping down my face, and I couldn't move. I was cornered, no way out, in that damned alley between buildings. One wrong move and I was dead. The stench of garbage, rust, and rain mixed with the blood trickling from my forehead. It all hit me at once, overwhelming. I couldn't see his face, only heard his heavy breathing and the click of the hammer being cocked. That was it, the moment everything froze. And then the radio on my shoulder crackled loud, almost deafening. All units, code 77 at 9th and Jefferson. Officer Walker, do you require immediate backup? That voice, sharp, sudden, snapped me back like a jolt to the chest. The suspect hesitated. I felt it. In a flash, I spun around and saw his eyes waver. Just for a split second, I fired, dropped to the ground, alive, still breathing. If that call hadn't come through, I'd just be another lifeless body in that alley. To this day, I wonder, was it luck or something else? Because in that moment, that call, it was like someone up there decided I wasn't done yet. And after that night, I was never the same. Never. My name is Ryan Walker, 37 years old, 12 of them wearing this badge, patrolling the streets of Chicago like my life depended on it, because deep down, it always has. I grew up on the South Side, where sirens were the soundtrack, and the cracked sidewalk was a battlefield. My father was a night security guard, the kind who never smiled. My mother, she vanished when I was 8, said she was going to buy milk and never came back. And in that silence, in that emptiness, I learned to fend for myself. I didn't join the force to be a hero. Far from it. I joined because it was the only thing that made sense. The only way I knew how to bring order to the chaos that surrounded me since I was a kid. When you grow up watching people you love disappear, die, or get taken away, you crave control. And the badge, it gave me that. Control, or at least the illusion of it. But don't get it twisted. This job takes a toll. It takes every extra hour, every sleepless night, every time you hold someone's hand as they die and pretend you feel nothing. I've buried partners, carried kids with gunshot wounds in my arms, heard pleas for help that came too late. And still, every day, I go back to these streets like it's my fate. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm paying for something I don't even know I did. Or maybe I'm trying to save someone I never could. Maybe my mother. Maybe myself. I'm married. Or I was. Sarah used to say I had two loves, her and the badge. And one day I'd have to choose. I never did. So she left. Now she brings our son, Luke, on weekends. He's 6. Her eyes, my quiet nature. Sometimes he asks why I come home so late, why I have cuts on my arms, why I cry in my sleep. I lie. I tell him it's bad dreams, that it'll pass, but it never does. The precinct became my home, my squad car, my shelter, the guys I ride with, my family, and the radio, the only voice that always answers when I need it most. I've thought about quitting, seriously, just driving away until I don't know where I am. But then I hear another call for help, another code 1053, and I'm back again, hand on my weapon, heart racing, ready to face hell one more time. Some call it duty, others, madness. I call it a debt, one that never ends, because every time I save someone out here, it's like I'm saving a piece of myself that was lost a long time ago. And every time I fail, it's like I bury those ghosts even deeper. So when I say that call on the radio saved me, I'm not just talking about that alley. I'm talking about me, about everything I carry, the weight on my shoulders that no one sees. Because at the end of the day, every cop has a dark alley inside, and sometimes the only thing keeping you from dying in it is a voice on the radio saying, "You're not alone." It was a night like so many others. Cold, damp, with Chicago wrapped in a fog that seemed to hide more than it revealed. I was riding solo in the squad car. My partner was off, and I was trying to clear my head after a rough week. Earlier that day, we'd responded to an overdose in a rundown apartment on the west side. A 19-year-old girl, her parents screaming, her life slipping away right in front of me. And I stood there, useless, waiting for an ambulance that took too long to arrive. That kind of thing sticks with you. You try to shake it off, but the stench of death clings to you. On your uniform, your skin, your soul. I was just driving. No destination. Just circling the neighborhoods like I could outrun what I'd seen. The radio was low, one hand on the wheel, my mind somewhere else, anywhere but on the streets. Then it came. A sharp crackle over the radio, followed by the dispatcher's voice. Familiar, steady, part of me by now. All units. Possible, suspicious. Activity reported at 23rd and Halsted near Jefferson Alley. Anonymous caller reports strange movement, possible firearm seen. Any unit available to investigate? That corner? I knew it well. A blind spot in the city where streetlights don't reach, where GPS falters. And silence is more dangerous than noise. Normally, a call like that wouldn't raise a single hair on my neck. I'd drive past, log it as checked, move on. But that night, I don't know. Something in the dispatcher's voice. Something in how the word gun landed. It made me respond without thinking. Unit 241 en route. That was it. No turning back. I veered off my route, picked up speed, and as I passed through empty streets, a strange weight settled in my chest. Not fear. It was heavier than that. My hands tensed on the wheel, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen. The city was quiet. Too quiet. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the occasional crackle of the radio. I glanced in the rearview mirror, hollow eyes, tired but alert, and in that moment I thought of my son, Luke, and the drawing he made for me that morning. A cop with a cape, like a superhero. I laughed to myself. A hero, if only he knew. I reached 23rd in under 5 minutes. The street was empty, except for an old beat-up car parked awkwardly on the curb and a tipped-over trash bin with garbage spilling out. I hit the high beams. Nothing. I stepped out of the car cautiously, hand on my weapon, eyes scanning, every shadow. I radioed in. Unit 241 on location. No visible movement. I'm checking the alley. Silence. Then a crackle. Copy that, Officer Walker. Proceed with caution. And then I took the first steps into that alley. That call felt routine, standard, but something inside me was screaming. I knew. I felt it in my bones. That night wasn't going to end like all the others, because sometimes the street whispers before it screams, and that night, it was screaming in silence. I went anyway, as I always do, wide open, heart pounding, not knowing that in that alley, it wouldn't just be another call, it would be the moment I'd look death in the eye and pray the radio spoke to me one more time. The first thing that hit me when I stepped into the alley was the smell. That heavy stench of rot, wet garbage, and something thicker, metallic, blood maybe. It was the kind of smell that sticks with you, gets into your lungs, into your clothes, into your memory. The walls on either side towered over. Me, old and cracked, covered in graffiti and mold. The streetlights didn't reach back here. It was like walking into a forgotten world, one where time stopped and death waited around every corner. I moved slowly, eyes scanning every inch. The ground beneath my boots was broken concrete, slick with rain puddles that hadn't drained. My radio crackled occasionally, white noise in the silence, but there were no new calls. Just that deafening quiet, broken only by the sound of my own footsteps. Each step echoed too loud, like someone or something was listening. I raised my flashlight, the beam slicing through the darkness. All I saw was trash, an old fire escape creaking above, and a rusted metal door slightly ajar on the left. At the far end of the alley, the darkness seemed thicker, like it was hiding something, almost breathing. Then I saw it. A shadow. Quick. Fleeting. Movement deep in the alley. My body reacted before my mind caught up. I raised my weapon, steady, and shouted, "Police!" Hands up. Now. Silence. Just the steady drip of rain from the rooftops. I took 2 steps forward, heart hammering, eyes narrowing. Then I saw it again. A shape crouched behind a dumpster. Large. Breathing heavy. My pulse spiked, but my hand stayed firm. "Stand up slowly. Show me your hands." Nothing. The tension exploded inside me. And then, something hit me from behind. A sharp impact to the side of my head. My vision blurred. I dropped to one knee, flashlight flickering, and then dying. Darkness swallowed me. Pain roared through my skull, blood in my mouth. I tried to rise, but another blow struck my ribs. I hit the ground hard, groaning. And my gun, I heard it slide across the wet concrete, out of reach, into the dark. I could feel him above me. A shadow close, his breathing loud in my ears. And then, silence again. I felt it. The barrel of a gun pressed to the back of my neck, cold, final. I heard the click of the hammer. And then, his voice, low, hoarse, laced with hate. "It's over, cop." And right then, my radio screamed. Loud, violent like a shot in the dark. "Unit 241 respond. Code 77 at 9th and Jefferson. Officer Walker, do you require backup?" That voice, pulled me back like a lightning bolt to the chest. The man hesitated. I felt it. The barrel shifted. That one hesitation was all I needed. I spun, still on the ground, and for a split second, I saw his eyes through the mask, wide, startled. He didn't expect me to fight back. I didn't expect to survive. But I reached for anything, and suddenly we were face to face, life and death hanging in that breathless pause. I fired. I hit the ground again, still breathing, still alive, and in that moment, alone in the filth of that alley, staring up at the rain and the blur of city lights, I knew how close I had come, how easily this could have been the end. If not for that radio call, I'd be dead, just another cop on a cold slab. But I wasn't. Not tonight. Not yet. The world was spinning. Pain throbbed in my skull, my vision flashing between light and shadow like reality itself was flickering. But my instincts, they were screaming at me to move, to fight, not to let that alley become my grave. I crawled along the ground, my palms scraping against the rough, wet concrete. My fingers bled, but I didn't care. I needed my weapon. Somewhere to my left it had slid into the darkness, but I couldn't see, could barely think. The shadow moved again. Fast. I locked my eyes on him, tracking every step. He was running toward the alley's exit, but then he stopped, turned, just stood there, watching me. I couldn't see his face behind the mask, but his eyes, those eyes burned with rage, and something else, doubt. He knew he could have killed me, he should have, but he hadn't. Get up, he snarled. Let's finish this like men. His voice trembled with hate, maybe fear, maybe pride. I didn't know. I pushed up on one knee, chest heaving, blood in my mouth. I stared him down. You want to finish this? Come on, I rasped. But don't hide behind a gun. He roared, charged at me like a wild animal. I saw the blade glint in his hand, a big knife, dirty, jagged. Everything slowed down. Time stretched. And for a second I saw death coming for me again. But this time, I was ready. I rolled to the side at the last possible second, pain tearing through my ribs. He stumbled past me, slammed into the wall, lost his balance. I didn't hesitate. I tackled him, both of us, crashing to the ground, fighting like madmen. Fists, elbows, shouts and grunts. The knife hit the concrete, skidding away. He tried to throw me off, but I slammed his head into the ground. Again and again, until he stopped moving, until silence swallowed us both. I rolled away, gasping for air, lying flat on my back, rain washing over my face. But there was no time. Another sound. Footsteps. Fast. Heavy. I wasn't alone. The second man appeared. Taller, hooded, gun in hand. His eyes went wide, seeing his partner on the ground. He didn't pause. He aimed and fired. The bullet whizzed past my head, shattering brick behind me. I rolled, crawling, desperate, searching the darkness for my weapon. Another shot. Sparks flew from the ground inches from my arm. Then, my hand touched cold steel. My gun. I grabbed it, spun, and fired. 3 shots. Loud. Final. His body crumpled, hard and fast. A gurgled breath, then silence. The alley went still again. Just my breathing. Ragged and sharp. The radio. Crackling. And the rain. Relentless. Uncaring. I knelt there, gun still raised. Eyes wide. Waiting for another shadow to appear. Nothing. The radio came alive again. Unit 241, respond. Are you okay? My voice shook, but I answered. 2 suspects down, requesting medical support. I'm alive. And in that moment, alone in that alley, soaked in blood and rain, I realized how close I'd come to the edge, how close it all was to ending. 2 bodies lay still. I remained alive, but I knew it wasn't over. Not for me. Not even close. The sirens in the distance sounded like whispers from another world. I was kneeling, soaked in rain and blood, my gun still raised, finger twitching. The alley was frozen in time. Nothing moved, nothing breathed, except me, and I didn't know how. Slowly I stood, every inch of my body aching, my head pounding with each heartbeat. I walked over to the second suspect, the one who'd tried to kill me. He was lying on his side, half his face hidden beneath a hood, blood pouring from his mouth. Dead, but something about him, something felt off. His shoes, bright white sneakers, spotless, brand new. They didn't fit this scene. The alley was filthy, but those shoes looked like they didn't belong, like he didn't belong. I knelt beside him, rain running down my face. My hand shook as I reached for his hood and pulled it back slowly. What I saw shattered me. He was a kid, couldn't have been more than 17. Pale skin, soft features, a fresh cut above. His eyebrow, recent like someone had hit him days ago. I froze. His eyes still open, blank, lifeless. They stared right through me. "No," I whispered. "No, no." My hands trembling, I checked his pockets. Found a battered wallet. Inside, an old smudged school ID. I stared at the name, my stomach dropping, heart racing. Nathan Alvarez. I knew that name. Not from the streets, from a case file. One that haunted me for weeks. A buddy of mine, Detective Marcus, had been investigating a local gang, suspected of recruiting teenagers for armed robberies and drug runs. Kids from broken homes, snatched from the system, used like disposable pawns. Nathan was on the list. Reported missing 3 weeks ago. Last seen leaving a public school on the west side. His family filed a missing persons report. No leads, no follow-up, just another lost kid. And now, he was here, lying in the dirt, dead, killed by my hand. My knees gave out. I leaned against the wall, bile rising in my throat, my mind spinning. "Why, kid? Why were you here? Who put you in this alley?" But there were no answers. There never are. I turned to the first suspect, the one I'd knocked out. He was moaning now, blood pouring from his head. I dragged him into the light of my flashlight. That's when I saw it. A tattoo on his neck, a snake coiled around a number, 22. I'd seen it before. The mark of the gang Marcus was after. Las Vibra, weapons, drugs, human trafficking. And now, using kids as soldiers, Nathan hadn't been a criminal. He was bait, a tool, sent into that alley to kill or be killed. He never stood a chance. And me? I was the one who pulled the trigger. I swallowed hard, trying to keep the storm inside me from exploding. The radio crackled. Sirens grew louder, but none of it mattered. Only the boy on the ground, only the life lost, and the unbearable truth that once again, I hadn't saved anyone. I dropped to my knees beside him, the rain washing over both of us, and for the first time in years, I cried, not out of fear, not out of pain, but from the crushing weight of knowing I had failed him. That in that dark, filthy alley, more than a teenager died. A part of me died with him, and I didn't know if it would ever come back. That night felt endless. Even with the sirens closing in, even with backup just seconds away, I was completely alone in that alley. Alone with what I had done, and with what I couldn't undo. I dropped to my knees beside Nathan's body, the rain washing his blood into the cracks of the concrete like the city was trying to cleanse itself of the guilt. But there wasn't enough rain in the world to wash this off my hands. I had killed a kid, not a criminal, not a monster, a scared, lost teenager, forced into something he didn't choose. And I pulled the trigger. My hand started shaking. I tried to holster my gun, but it slipped from my fingers, clattering to the ground. I looked at my hand, covered in blood, and saw his reflection in it. In that moment, I asked myself, the question I'd been avoiding for years. How many more? How many more lives were going to end like this? And me, how many more of these could I live with? Luke's face flashed in my mind. My son. He was the same age Nathan must have been when his life started falling apart. Same brown hair, same quiet eyes. And I wondered, what if it had been Luke lying here in the cold, with a bullet in his chest? What if he ended up in the wrong place, wrong time, with a weapon in his hand that someone else gave? Him. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened. My whole body trembled. I collapsed against the wall of the alley and buried my face in my hands. What the hell was I doing with my life? I'd seen so much death in this city. Murders, overdoses, lives torn apart by stray bullets. I thought I'd grown numb. I thought I could handle anything. But this was different, because this wasn't just about duty. It was personal, too personal. I was trained to neutralize threats, to protect the innocent, to keep order in the chaos. But now, where was the line? Where was the justice in this? And the question that wouldn't stop. Could I have done something different? Could I have waited one more second? Could I have aimed somewhere else? Could I have hesitated? The truth is, when it happens, when death is in your face, you don't think, you react. And sometimes that reaction haunts you. The rain kept falling harder. The alley felt like an open grave, and I was standing at the edge, teetering. Right. Then I felt like I wasn't a cop anymore, just a broken man. Because every time you survive in this job, a piece of you dies. And that night, a part of me stayed in that alley, with Nathan, in the cold and the dark. I heard footsteps behind me, other officers arriving, but I couldn't look at them, couldn't stand up. I just wanted to disappear, go back, change something, anything. But all I had was the image of that boy's face and the silence screaming inside me. And I knew this night would follow me for the rest of my life, because some wounds never heal. They just hide, until the next call on the radio rips them open again. The sergeant's voice echoed behind me, distant, muffled by the pounding in my head and the storm inside my chest. "Walker, are you okay? Do you need medical?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. My legs felt like stone. My mind a tornado of images, sounds, guilt. Every instinct in me screamed to get up, walk away, disappear from that alley, from the blood, from the wait. But something stronger kept me frozen. Something I couldn't name yet, but felt deep in my bones. A decision had to be made. Not out there with my weapon drawn or my badge shining, but right here, inside. A decision that would change everything or break me completely. I stood slowly, each breath sharp with pain. My eyes locked on Nathan's body, then shifted to the first suspect, the one who was still alive, barely, now handcuffed by backup officers. And then I looked at myself, soaked in, blood bruised, battered, and hollow. What does this badge really mean, Ryan? The question hit me like a punch. Justice? Order? Or just a system that swallows men like me and spits them out numb? I could have followed protocol, filed the usual report, claimed self-defense, wrapped the incident in official language, and let the system close another case. No one would have questioned it. My superiors would have backed me. Hell, some would have bought me a drink. After all, I survived. I did what I was supposed to do. But the truth burned inside me like acid. Nathan wasn't just another statistic. He wasn't another clean shoot. And I wasn't the same man anymore. And I knew what I had to do. I walked straight to the sergeant, my steps heavy, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "I need to speak with Detective Marcus now. This is connected to his case." The sergeant looked confused, concerned. "Walker, you've lost blood. You're in shock. Let's get you to the hospital first." "No," I said firmly. "Listen to me. This kid, he was one of the missing. He wasn't a threat. He was a victim. Someone put him in this alley with a knife, knowing he wouldn't make it out. This is bigger. A lot bigger." Marcus arrived soon after, tired eyes but sharp, always watching. I led him to Nathan's body, showed him the school ID, the tattoo on the other suspect's neck, and I told him everything. No walls, no lies. I told him how I hesitated, how I saw the fear in Nathan's eyes, how I pulled the trigger anyway. I told him I wasn't asking for forgiveness, I was asking for a way to make this mean something. I killed him, Marcus, but someone else gave him that knife. Someone else sent him here to die. I want in. I want to take these bastards down. Marcus studied me, eyes searching for weakness. Then he nodded. "This won't be easy, Walker. These guys are protected. Judges, dirty cops, connections everywhere. This could cost you your career, or worse." I didn't blink. "I don't care. I'm done. Just surviving. It's time I did something that matters." Right then, I made my choice. I wouldn't be just another voice on the radio, reacting call after call, hoping I didn't die tonight. I was going to hunt the people who turned alleys into graves, the ones who saw kids as disposable. I was going all in. That night didn't just break me. It woke me up, made me see the monsters in the dark, and the one I was becoming. And I swore I wouldn't be one of them. Not anymore. The hours that followed, blurred together. Lights flashing, voices shouting, procedures unfolding like a cold machine. The forensic team arrived, covered the bodies with white sheets that stood out against the filth of the alley, and brass from the department began circling like vultures, jotting notes, measuring every word I said. But I wasn't the same man who had stepped into that alley, and I didn't care about their protocols or their careful glances, trying to gauge if I was about to crack. They took me to the hospital. Standard procedure. CT scan, stitches, fractured rib. While I lay on that sterile bed under harsh lights, the internal investigation was already underway. I could feel it. By that evening, Internal Affairs called. Fast. Too fast. Two cold-eyed detectives waited for me in a white room without windows. "Officer Walker, we'll be direct. You shot and killed a minor while on duty. Please recount the incident, word for word." The recorder clicked on. I took a breath and told them everything. No Polish, no heroism, just the raw truth. They cut me off often, their questions like scalpels. "Did you have another option?" Why shoot to kill? Was the suspect armed? I repeated it. He had a knife. He charged. I fired to survive. But every word I spoke dug deeper, not into my file, but into my soul. After hours, they dismissed me with the usual, pending investigation. You are temporarily suspended from duty. Administrative leave, mandatory. My weapon, confiscated. My badge, returned. I went home that night not as a cop, but as a man carrying a body no one else could see. Sarah showed up later that day. She'd seen it on the news. She brought Luke with her. He ran to me, hugged me tight, and asked why my head was bandaged. I couldn't answer. I just held him like he was the last piece of good left in my world. Sarah sat beside me, red-eyed, voice soft. What happened this time, Ryan? I swallowed hard. I shot a kid, trying to defend myself, but he was just a victim, Sarah, like so many others. She sat silently for a moment, then whispered, "This will destroy you if you let it. You need to walk away." But I knew. I couldn't. Not now. 2 days later, Marcus called. The investigation into Las Vibra had blown wide open. Nathan had been the missing link. His phone, the one I recovered and handed over, had everything. Messages, GPS data, names. The gang was forcing teenagers into crime, threatening their families, offering cash and protection. Nathan had been part of a robbery weeks earlier, and now he was thrown into that alley as a pawn. He wasn't supposed to live. He was meant to die. The captain summoned me to his office. His words were blunt. "Walker, you're a target now. They know you survived. They're not happy. You've got a choice. Go back to patrol, or help us from the inside." On this case, for the first time, I was given a real choice. And sitting in that dim room, blood still under my fingernails, I knew I wouldn't be just another cog. I'd seen too much. I couldn't go back. "I don't want a patrol car," I told him. "I want to go after the ones who did this." To him, to others. He nodded. But the consequences were just beginning. The media got the kid's name. Headlines screamed, "Police officer kills teen in Southside shooting." Protests erupted, small but loud. Online, I was called a murderer. Threats poured in. Some defended me, most condemned me. But only I knew the full truth, and it was heavier than anything I'd ever carried. Every morning, I stared into the mirror at a man who'd crossed a line, who couldn't go back, and who had only one path left, forward, because real justice always comes at a cost, and I was paying it in full. 2 days after the official suspension, I got a call I didn't expect. It was Marcus, his voice tighter than usual, serious in a way that made my stomach drop. "Walker, I need you to come with me. Now. There's someone who wants to talk to you. It could be important, or it could break you." I grabbed my jacket, left my phone behind, and went. The drive to the precinct felt longer than it ever had. Chicago moved around me, unaware that someone's world was crumbling behind every closed door. I climbed the old, creaking stairs and found Marcus waiting outside interrogation room 2. "She's in there," he said. "Nathan's mother." I felt my knees weaken. "Why? Why does she want to see me?" "She asked for you. Said she needs to hear it from you. She wants to understand." I didn't want to walk into that room. Didn't want to see her face. Didn't want to face the eyes of a mother whose son died because I pulled the trigger. But I knew I had to. I'd run from the weight of this long enough. Now I had to carry it for real. I opened the door slowly. She was sitting there, thin, pale, worn down by years of hardship. Her eyes were red from crying, but when she looked at me, there was something fierce behind them. Strength. She didn't flinch. She didn't look away. I shut the door behind me, took a breath, and sat down across from her. Silence. She spoke first. "He was my only child. My Nathan." Her voice didn't shake. It was clear, steady, full of pain. "He was a good kid. Lost, yeah, but good. Life wasn't easy. His dad left when he was 5. I worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. I listened. Every word was a blade to the heart. He disappeared weeks ago. I begged the police to help, filed reports, pleaded. No one listened. No one cared. Until now. Until they called me and said, he's dead, that he tried to kill a cop." She paused, eyes glistening. "I don't want details. I don't want to know how it happened. But I need to ask you, did you see it? In his face? Was he afraid?" Her question shattered me. I fought to keep my voice steady. "Yes," I said. "He was afraid and confused, like he didn't want to be there. Someone sent him into that alley with a knife, to die. She closed her eyes, holding back tears. Then they killed him long before that bullet did. Couldn't argue. She was right. And then, she did something I never expected. She stood, walked to me, and placed a photograph on the table. Nathan, younger, smiling, wearing a crooked baseball cap, holding a dog in his arms. Don't forget his face, officer. Don't forget what they did to him. There are more kids out there just like him, alone, scared, easy to use, easy to throw away. Her eyes locked onto mine like steel. Promise me you'll do something with this pain. Don't let it be just another case file. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. Slow, heavy. In that moment, something shifted in me. She walked out without another word, leaving me with the photo in my hand and a fire in my chest. Not anger, not guilt, something else. Purpose. Because in that room, she didn't ask for revenge. She gave me something I didn't deserve. A second chance to do the right thing. And I swore, right then, I wouldn't waste it. That night, the conversation with Nathan's mother broke me in a way I didn't know was possible. I sat on the floor of my apartment for hours holding that photo of him, trembling, my mind a storm I couldn't escape. I'd seen death. I'd seen pain. I thought I could handle anything this job threw at me. But nothing prepared me for that. Her voice haunted me. That look in her eyes, a mixture of grief, strength, and something else. Forgiveness. She didn't scream at me, didn't curse me. She gave me a chance to make it mean something. That photo burned in my hands, not because it hurt to hold, but because it demanded something from me. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I just sat there, rain tapping on the windows, replaying every second in that alley. His face, his eyes, the way he looked at me right before I fired, and the question that wouldn't stop. What if I could have saved him? What if I had seen the signs earlier, asked more questions, pushed harder? Maybe he'd still be alive. The next morning, I walked through the precinct, invisible. The same building that once felt like home now felt like a cage. I passed faces I knew. Some looked at me with sympathy, others with suspicion. No one said a word, but I didn't care. I wasn't looking for their approval. I found Marcus in his office, buried in files, eyes heavy from sleepless nights. I need in, I said. I want to help take them down. For real. He stared at me, reading my face like a book. You sure about this? No, I replied, but I'm doing it anyway. That was the beginning of my transformation. Wasn't just a cop anymore, not just a responder waiting for the next call. I was going to hunt the ones who did this, who stole kids from their families, who turned alleys into graves. I wasn't chasing justice for the badge or for glory. I was chasing it for him, for Nathan, for all the other kids no one ever talked about. I dove into the files, missing persons, gang affiliations, social service reports. I saw patterns I hadn't seen before, or maybe never wanted to see. Kids like Nathan were being recruited, threatened, forced into crime, and then discarded. The system didn't protect them. It failed them. And I realized I'd been part of that system. For years, I wore the badge thinking I was making a difference. But somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing people and started seeing problems. Nathan wasn't a problem. He was a boy, a son, a life. I started visiting schools, talking to kids, listening to stories that no one wanted to hear. I met families who lived in fear, who'd been ignored by the same system I once trusted. And little by little, I rebuilt myself. Not as a cop, but as a man with a mission. Luke, my son, he noticed the change. I was home more, really present for the first time in years. He'd ask about my day, and for once, I had something to tell him that didn't involve pain, blood, or loss. I was finally fighting for something bigger than survival. I won't lie. It's hard. Some nights, the weight of it all crushes me. Some nights, I still see Nathan's face in my dreams. But I get up, every day. Because if I can stop one more boy from ending up in that alley, if I can give one more mother a reason to hope, then maybe I'm not lost. Maybe I'm just finally becoming the man I was meant to be. Weeks of quiet investigation followed. Digging through files, chasing leads, connecting dots that no one else bothered to see. But I wasn't just chasing criminals anymore. I was chasing redemption. Every name I uncovered, every missing kid I found on a list, it was like a piece of Nathan calling out from the grave demanding justice, and I wasn't going to stop. Marcus and I worked around the clock. This wasn't some official task force with press conferences and gold stars. It was personal, it was raw, and it was dangerous. Then we got a break, a tip about a warehouse in the industrial district. The gang was using it as a stash house and a training ground. Their words, not mine. They were teaching kids how to handle guns, how to rob, how to kill, turning them into weapons, disposable ones. There was no warrant, no backup, just us, and a decision to act now. We knew waiting meant someone would die, probably a kid. We rolled in silent, no lights, no sirens. 4 of us, just us. The warehouse looked abandoned, but the lights inside told a different story. We went in slow, weapons drawn, hearts pounding, and there they were, 6 teenagers, no older than 16, sitting on the floor, bagging drugs and guns. Watching over them, 2 armed gang members, cold, focused, ready to kill. We had no time to negotiate. Gunfire erupted. The first shot missed me by inches. We dove behind crates, bullets shredding the air. Kids screamed, scattering. One was hit in the shoulder, fell hard. The scene was chaos. I shouted, "Police, drop your weapons, there are kids here." But they didn't care. The gang didn't see children. They saw pawns. One of the suspects ran toward the back. I chased him, adrenaline drowning out the pain in my ribs. We sprinted through dark corridors, every step echoing like a drumbeat. He turned, gun raised. I fired first. He fell. I stood over him, breathing hard, and felt something I hadn't in a long time. Clarity. I was doing what I was meant to do, not just responding, but preventing, saving. Back at the warehouse, Marcus had the remaining suspect down. The kids, shaken, terrified. One of them looked at me, barely able to speak. They said if I didn't come, they'd kill my sister. His eyes, they were Nathan's. I had to look away. We called child services, called the captain. This time we had everything. Evidence, witnesses, names. The city had to act. The next day it was on every news channel. Gang operation busted, minors rescued. Politicians lined up for credit. The department took a victory lap, but none of them knew the real cost. I gave my statement, sat through hours of questions. They called me a hero. Some wanted to nominate me for a commendation. I declined. I didn't do it for that. I walked out of the precinct and drove to Jefferson Alley. Parked, stood at the edge. The rain had long since washed the blood away. But to me, it was still there, still fresh. I wasn't the same man who had knelt there, weapon shaking, heart broken. No, now I was something else. A man who knew what it meant to lose and what it took to fight back. I hadn't saved the world, but I'd saved those kids. And maybe, just maybe, I'd saved a part of myself along the way. That night I didn't cry. I didn't break. I just stood there, silent, and I finally felt peace. The city hasn't changed. Sirens still cut through the night. Alleys still swallow the light. And the radio never stops. Call after call, like a clock that refuses to rest. But me, I've changed. Something inside me shattered in that alley in that moment when everything could have ended. And what grew in its place isn't easy to explain. It's not strength. It's not resilience. It's just truth. Raw, heavy, relentless. The truth of a man who looked into the eyes of a dying kid and lived to tell the story. I'm not a hero. Never have been. Heroes are the ones who keep fighting when no one's watching. Heroes are the ones who stand up again and again, even when they're bleeding inside. I'm just a man, scarred, flawed, who wears the weight of his mistakes like part of his uniform. A man who wakes up every day with the memory of a boy he couldn't save and still chooses to fight. I've learned that justice isn't always in the law. Sometimes justice is in a mother's tears, in the broken smile of a child who survived, in the promise you make to never forget. Justice is doing something, even when it hurts, even when it costs everything. And I've learned that survival isn't enough. Living with what you carry, that's the real battle. Looking in the mirror and not flinching. Hugging your child and not thinking of all the others who never made it home. Still, I keep going. Today I'm not just a badge number, not just a voice answering the radio. I'm a man who hit rock bottom and chose to climb back, not to erase the past but to honor it, to make sure it meant something. Sometimes I pass Jefferson Alley. I stop the car, get out, stand there. The blood is gone. The rain has washed it clean. But to me that alley will always be where everything changed, where I broke, where I began again. I didn't change the world, but I changed my world. And I helped save a few lives that still had a chance. That matters. Because now, when the radio crackles to life, I remember, every call might be the last, every shift, a gamble. And sometimes, all that stands between life and death is a voice in the dark saying, "You're not alone." And if you've listened to this story, I want you to hear this. Value every second, every choice, because between life and death, there's only a breath, a moment, one chance. And if you can be that chance for someone, don't hesitate, don't walk away, make it count, because one day, it might be you in that alley. Subscribe to the channel now if you want to hear more emotional, real-life stories from police officers. And drop a comment below. Which part of this story hit you the hardest? It could be a memory, a dilemma, a single line, anything. I read every single comment, and I promise you, it's in your voices that this mission continues. I'll see you in the next episode.